mostly because of the soap opera sequences I pull out. And then from there, Daniel is going to talk about copywriting the right way, the thought process and all that, so that you can go from, what was it, 2 years ago, you're doing $35 copywriting jobs, and you did a 13 grand job for like 5 emails, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so things like that, right?
So we'll be talking about all that good stuff.
Very cool. Everybody's on mute. If you've got questions, put them in the chat, and we're going to be sure to make sure that we go over them. We are recording now, and if your camera is on, you will be in the recording. So don't be like the guy from, I think it's like the customer research mini module that drops the phone and then you see just not wearing any clothes. So don't be that guy.
Oh,
I'm just like FYI and all that stuff. Yeah, it's a thing. So, well, we're going to get this party started. Hey, everybody. My name is Jeff. I'm with Cool Beans Digital. Danny Velez is speaking as well. I don't think Danny Velez has a company name yet. It's just Danny Velez Writing or something like that, right?
Just Danny Velez, yep.
Just Danny Velez is super awesome. This is Quit Working Your Butt Off, Agency Scaling Secrets, the masterclass about storytelling and soap operas. So how many of you have ever thought the following? I need an easy and automatic email-based story to follow up with every customer opportunity that I've generated for my client. I know that that story needs to be exciting, motivating, lead nurturing, and get people wanting to buy, but I have no idea how to get it done. How many of you have thought my boring old small business clients don't have that exciting story, don't have that motivating story, and now I'm stuck spending too much time for just not worth it results? How many of you have ever thought that there must be a better way? Well, it's not your fault. We all know Russell Brunson has that soap opera sequence, but nobody showed you how to write one easily and effectively for yourself or even for your clients. And you're hearing about everyone else's awesome Facebook ad results and strong email-based follow-up, but nobody showed you how to get it done time and time again. More importantly, everyone is just yelling at you instead of solving your problems. By not nailing this skill set, you're losing your opportunity to build an agency that fulfills your dreams, and no one is giving you the blueprint on how to write soap opera sequences for your small businesses, most importantly, the ones that get lead sales and ROI. So what if you could say, and the best part about my marketing program, Mr. Johnson, is we're going to write you a personable and dramatic story that's worth reading. We're going to have a storytelling session with a writer and create, craft, and pull out a story that's accurate, truthful, but also gets people excited about buying from you and your business. And Mr. Johnson, we're going to make sure every customer opportunity gets it and reads it, just like a high-paying, incredibly expensive PR marketing company would. If you could say that, would that help you land a client faster with more confidence? Well, lucky for you, this is what I'm going to be showing you today. I'm going to be showing you the easy step-by-step process that's repeatable, the same steps that I go through to turn a boring small business client into interesting, high-converting stories that are worth reading. I'm going to show you the expert secrets that get your client loving your work and getting your email follow-up resonating with your target customers. And I'm going to show you the exact soap opera sequences, samples, and examples I've used in the past and why they've generated results. If you had that, how would that change your agency? How would that help you accomplish your goals? And that's exactly what you're getting today. Today, we're doing the masterclass, wrong fucking slide, on storytelling and soap opera sequences. Good thing I'm new at this, right? When should you use this training? You should use the storytelling and soap opera sequence masterclass either after you've signed a client and your campaign is generating leads, but you don't have that automatic email follow-up. You should use it after you've signed a client, but want something else to sell that will not just make you extra money, but will get a better converting campaign and start the process of turning you from a Facebook ads guy or gal into the chief marketing officer outsource. And finally, you should use this training before you've signed a client and want to compare your marketing program to the super expensive, non-direct measurable result, no automatic follow-up PR and marketing companies that charge an F-ton so that you can charge more for your Facebook ads program. My big aha moment was with my bike shop. They're based out of Miami, Florida. They focus on high-end international customers, and they literally started off at $2,250 a month for their Facebook ads program. At that point, we're generating about one customer opportunity a day, but weren't getting that blow-your-mind impact that most people need to get a client and keep them and get that person referring business immediately. It turns out, by the way, that this one bike shop actually had two bike shops. And I had this weird sinking feeling that Facebook ads wasn't working. Well, it was working, but it really just wasn't working, if you know what I mean. And that meant if I didn't get this working, that would mean another lost contract because of a boring business that doesn't have a cool story to tell. Sure enough, 2 weeks later, this guy walks in my office and says, Jeff, this is insane. Every single day for the past 5 days, people have come into my store and asked me about me. I feel famous. And they all bought stuff and signed up for our weekly bike rides. The $2,250 I gave you got more people coming into my store in 10 months than in 10 months of SEOing my website and the 4 figures I spent with another company. If you can do this with $2,000, Jeff, what could you do with 5? And by the way, later on, he wrote me a check for $10,000. It wasn't a real check. It was like a FreshBooks invoice, but you know what I mean. That's actually him, the bike shop owner on the left. You know, if you see this video, but I hit his face just because I felt like it was the right thing to do. You can literally see, not too long after we started his campaign, Facebook funnels for the bike shop and a paid invoice for $10,000. Not too long after that, I ended up meeting and greeting with the CFO of a multi-million-dollar orthopedic clinic down the street, about 20 minutes north of me. He starts talking about his need and want to change the way healthcare works, how you shouldn't have to go to half a dozen different doctors, wait in line half a dozen times, risk all those errors and pay all that money. I said, that's so funny because I'm starting a Facebook ad agency and I feel the same way about marketing agencies. I go to him, I pitch the program at $3,900 a month, and he and his team sign on. Built out the program, start generating customer opportunities, and run the wallet out campaign no different than any other program. He gets 30 customer opportunities, but none of them convert into actual customers. He flips his shit, goes on a rampage, blames me, and threatens to cancel. By the way, it was his front desk not calling people back. I sneaky surveyed. I actually made a module about Sharon, but whatever, that's like a side conversation. And despite his first month of totally bombing, he signed on for a second month. According to him, his campaign bombed, and he still bought the next month. And here's proof. That's me pitching him and his team. There's 2 invoices at $3,900 a month for 30 customer opportunities that completely bombed. He's still renewed next month. And finally, not too long after the orthopedist, I end up meeting somebody who has over a dozen car wash locations and is really disappointed in not getting the bang for his buck with his marketing results. He's done Facebook ads so far, worked with other companies, but either didn't get the result he wanted or never made it feel like it was worth it. We do the onboarding docs, do the wallet out, ready to buy button seat customer campaign pitch, and he signs up for 2 locations. And he starts getting leads, phone calls, and email responses like any other Facebook campaign actually does. The results were normal, no big deal. And when I compared my results to everyone else's in all those Facebook groups and things like that, I was effectively dead last. And then 2 months later, he says, Jeff, I'm a big fan of all this. It looks like it's working. It looks like it's getting the word out. Can we roll this out to other locations? And I said, sure, Mr. Johnson. So we signed up 2 more locations, one in North Carolina, one in Boca Raton. And 2 months later, he says, Jeff, I think this could be something we do for every location. Do you have a standard package I could just roll out to all my locations? Could you do something for $10,000? And I said, sure. So there I am, and there he is, and there's a paid invoice for $10,000. He did that 4 more times. Bike shops, car washes, healthcare clinics are normal, boring businesses. They do bike rides, they sell bikes, they do car washes, they do examinations, normal, unexciting business things. The bike shop tried online marketing before and got okay results, but my campaign got people walking into a store and doubled his spend with me. The car wash literally runs their normal offer online with me, but is a huge fan of what I'm doing and wanted me to pitch him a 10K program. And the healthcare clinic bombed. He got angry and his team didn't do their part, but they still renewed another $3,900 a month. Whether my campaign blew them out of the water or didn't, they spent more money. Whether my offer was good or bad, whether the front desker followed up, the executives wanted to try it again. And even though I'm dead last on that Facebook marketer cost per lead scoreboard, my clients are spending too much money. So what's the secret sauce? Well, as it turns out, it's a well-written soap opera sequence delivered by a storytelling session. When you do a well-written soap opera sequence, a bunch of awesome things happen all at the same time. You get FaceTime with your client, and your client understands, and your client starts to understand their story, their journey, their mission, and their vision, and their why for their business. Their customer opportunities get a dramatic, person-focused story that relates to why they would want to do business with your client. And when that happens, clients stick around longer. Customers take action and buy even when your cost per lead, which honestly doesn't work, even when that shoots through the roof. My bike shop owner, his family literally fled South America, snuck into an MBA program in Spain, and resettled in Miami to build the business his dad, who still lives in South America, would be proud of. His target clients, the ones best suited for his business, are incredibly wealthy people from out of town that aspire to become triathletes. And they want to get healthier and wealthier and build better relationships through biking. Do you think those clients respond to discounts or pushy product-focused emails? Or do you think those clients respond to real stories about people overcoming adversity, challenges, and moving forward? If you're sending emails about product sales to somebody who doesn't care about price, you're driving them away from your client. My orthopedist is sick and tired of his parents and grandparents running around town from appointment to appointment, waiting in line, getting overcharged, and dealing with all those mistakes. His clients are real-life people that work for a living that want fair pricing, and those people want to fix the way normal healthcare is delivered. Do you think those clients respond to buy it now reminders, 10% off vouchers, and scarcity tactics? Or do they come in and become repeat and happy customers because of the business's vision, mission, and goals? Even the least exciting soap opera sequence, which is my car wash, doesn't talk about the shine of the car, but instead talks about saving time for busy moms and dads. I get fewer leads than anyone else in a public and private group, but my clients spend more money, and it's because my soap opera sequences make sense. And you can turn your client's boring, unexciting, and uninteresting business into a mini Kim Kardashian, Russell Brunson soap opera sequence using 7 questions and following a 3-step process. Here you go, ladies and gents. This is what you want. Step number 1, good old customer research. If you haven't watched the customer research mini module, get it. You'll love it. It will 100% change the way you view your ads, creating ads, and put you on a path to become your chief marketing officer outsource. The basic idea is that you get 95% of the way of unlocking somebody's wallet if you understand their needs, wants, fears, and goals, what they've hated, or what they've tried. Going through that customer research process identifies your target market's tribal language and, more importantly, the specific words they use to describe their problems. I'll give you a great example. Bike shop customer research. The biggest challenge or problem when it comes to riding bikes. Pricing, pricing, pricing. Knowledgeable staff, pricing, pricing, pricing. What's your goal? Quality of life, fitness, and health. What's your number one fear? Crashing, falling, car accident, getting hit by a car, making the wrong decision, getting hit on my bike, and an accident taking me out for the whole season. And this is what they want to do. They just want to get out there more and ride more. This is how people describe their problems. This is their tribal language. So once you get between 15 and 30 responses, you have enough data to create themes. And these themes are what your target audience talks about, what they identify with, and what words they use to describe their problems. It's what that tribe of people is always looking out for. If you use those words, all of a sudden you're a part of that tribe. So guess what you're going to be using in your soap opera sequences? Exactly right. You're going to use those exact words. You're going to use the same words, the exact words, similar words, the words that have the same definitions, intentions, and meanings. You're going to tribe up your soap opera sequence. Number 2, you and your client are going to get some Zoom time and do a storytelling session. By the way, when you do this and you take lots of notes, they love you. For the first time ever, they feel like somebody's actually listening to them, their story, and their business. As part of my Wallet Out campaign, I tell them I'm going to craft a person-focused soap opera sequence, and I will be sending a writer to them. It will serve as an automatic follow-up to every single customer opportunity and get the word out and incorporate upsells correctly, which is what that client wants. And this writer is specifically trained to create and craft and pull a story that's honest, authentic, and interesting out of their business. By the way, it's usually me or Danny Velez, and if you're watching this, it's going to be you. In that storytelling session, you're going to ask them a series of questions, just like a reporter, a writer, or someone conducting an interview. You'll chat with them, ask them to get more specific, take lots of notes, and do it on a recorded line like a Zoom session. And there's a bunch of psychological reasons why this works, but the idea is that when you ask your clients about their story, they will stay longer, they will feel like you are on their team, and attribute any success they've had to you, even if that success is not related to Facebook ads. Mostly, by the way, because they feel like you got the word out about their business. This is a real-life storytelling session I had with my nutritionist. He's been in business for 25 years, and this is the first time anyone has ever tried to do this with him, and he absolutely loved it. I got these 7 questions from Danny Velez, and these are the 7 questions that I asked, and they feel it's fantastic. I asked them about them and their story. What led you to starting your business, Mr. Johnson? And so what was that number one need you saw in the community? Was that within your own life that led you to start your business, or was that in your community that led you to start your own business? And as you were growing your business, did you feel a roadblock, an opposition? Was there a number one thing that was stopping you from starting your business, or something that you faced running your business so far? Asking these questions gets people telling you their story, which you then incorporate into a soap opera sequence that they then love. I then ask 4 more questions about the client and market, which is the type of people you will be targeting and using tribal language in that soap opera sequence. I ask my client to describe their perfect client. At one point, did it click for yourself and your previous clients and customers? Did one day magically it all work, or was it over time? How were you able to help them find success? What was that transformation you helped them achieve? And what's the number one core thing your clients and prospects must believe so they can see value in your service? Now, within an hour or so, your client or customer has told their story for the first time ever, genuinely believes you are on their team, and you know exactly who to target, and you're going to match it to that tribal language. Then you're going to use those answers from those 7 questions to craft a text-only soap opera sequence that follows a format and template. And by the way, here's my extra secret. The first email is for the target customer using their tribal language from that customer research. The second email is for your client and their story that will get them to love you. The third is about the business and what they believe they uniquely offer. The fourth is an upsell that solves problems from the customer research. And the fifth is the last chance that gets people actually calling the business. I'll give you a great example. Here's my bike shop soap opera sequence. Yes, we'll get it later today. You can clearly read, this, by the way, is a template, but the second paragraph says, but what I mean is our staff knows cycling. They're not just trained salespeople making you buy things you don't need or want. Remember that customer research? Where they're talking about paying for things, it costs too much, pushy salespeople. That's how he chose that language. Email number 2. This is my client, my bike shop client's actual story. He felt like he didn't belong in his MBA classroom. He always wanted to open a bike shop. He said, I will open one in Miami. I just have to move forward. I've obviously blocked out his information, but he helped me write this second email specifically because of those questions about him and his story. Day number 3, a mix of his story using the language specifically that people filled out the survey with. Was it pushy salespeople? Was it salespeople with 0 cycling experience? Was it pushy salespeople with 0 cycling experience? Bingo. I listened to cyclists and their desires, cyclists just like you, hearing these words again and again. This is language pulled from the actual customer research. So your future clients, customers reading this identify your client as part of their tribe. Day 4, not trying to sell them an upgrade, not act like you're listening, but trying to sell them something. No, that's what everyone else was doing. Where do we get that? From the customer research. The upsell we incorporated in here directly addresses why somebody feel like they would be getting into an accident. The SIGO light goes in the front and the back of the bike and stops bicyclists from getting hit by cars. Guess where we got that from? And then finally, last call. Guys, now's your last chance to buy that SIGO light that solves the problem you and your tribe clearly and identifiably has. This is how you build a soap opera sequence that gets your clients sticking around and getting people to actually buy what your client has to sell. The 3-step formula is not difficult, and it's easy. It's literally the formula for my soap opera sequences that keep clients and get customer opportunities that want to buy what my client has to sell. I do customer research to discover that target audience's tribal language. I do a 7-step questionnaire and an actual storytelling session so my client feels like they are getting the word out. And I do a 5-step email sequence that incorporates the best of both worlds. Now, magically, by the way, your client and your customer opportunities feel like they're speaking the same language. Your customer feels like your client is selling exactly what they want and they actually come in and buy. And by the way, your client genuinely feels like you're doing your part to understand their business and magically they stick around longer. This is the same soap opera sequence structure that I have used to turn an angry client into a 2-time client that paid twice as much as my competition. It's the same structure I used to get a $2,250 bike shop client to pay me 10 grand. And the same structure I used to get one car wash to sign on a huge number of locations and pay me $10,000 and be part of his franchise rollout plan. If you are not getting the results you expect from your Facebook ad campaign, if you are not keeping your clients longer, it's because you're not doing a storytelling session. This is my expert secret to being dead last on those Facebook ads lists, but still top and number one when it comes to billing their clients. That's my expert secret. Danny Velez, you're up.
What's going on, bro? Jeff, I think that's pretty cool, man. That's a cool story for people to understand that you don't got to be the best necessarily at what it is that you're doing. You just have to provide and go the extra step for your clients. That's honestly a crazy secret right there because a lot of people get caught up in perfectionism. So a little bit of what we're going to be going over in this second part of the masterclass is we're going to be touching up on some of the fundamentals of actual storytelling and what it, how to actually put these things together in a way that respects the rules of copywriting and helps you get the sale for your clients so that you know how to do it every single time. So first, we're going to go over some of the misconceptions that I've seen, held me back earlier on in my copywriting career, and that I know for a fact from helping people become better copywriters, these are the 2 big misconceptions that are holding people back from writing. Because honestly, I've noticed that copywriting is like 80% mentality. When you sit down to just unleash the words that are in your mind, the only thing that's going to stop you is one of the main things that's going to stop you is thinking that you need to be good at writing or that you need to be good at English or grammar or whatever the case is. And that's just not true. All right. The good thing is you don't need any of that stuff. You don't need to know the rules of writing. You don't need to know grammar. It doesn't even matter if you failed English in school. Copy is more conversational. When you're sitting down to write these stories and these emails for your clients, you almost, this is why you want to do the research that Jeff was talking about, because you want to get to know how your client talks in a conversational way, because that's what you want to put into these emails. Okay. It's about connecting, human to human. So in fact, what I've noticed over and over again from split testing different email campaigns is that proper grammar, using big words, trying to sound fancy, all of that stuff, even too much, even like the right grammar that you're supposed to be using, all of that stuff will actually hurt the readability of your copywriting, and it'll make your results very poor for your clients. So you want to actually talk in a conversational way. So if you suck at grammar like I do, and just a little bit about myself, I failed the 8th, the 9th, and the 10th grade. You know, I literally consistently got less than 60% and 50 and sometimes even 30% in English class, writing class, reading class, the whole 9 yards. So you don't have to be academically gifted to do copywriting. You know, I barely passed high school. And the other thing is, remember, there's no such thing as perfect. You know, you have to be comfortable with the fact, and we're going to talk about this more, comfortable with the fact that that you're just going to have to just put these words on paper and not worry too much about the hardcore grammar and all that stuff. The other misconception is people think is, hey, I'm not the creative type of person. I'm not just the type of person that can sit there and write something, you know, from and have it spill from my head and onto the paper. You know, you don't have to be the creative type of person. I'm about to show you one of the biggest hacks that I discovered early on in my copywriting career that took me literally from zero to somehow, you know, in a matter of weeks, just people coming to me for copywriting all the time. So the hack that makes you not have to be good at, that makes you not have to be the creative type is called copy hacking. It's called synthetic creativity. And this, what I'm about to teach you, helps you be able to literally find copywriting that works somewhere else and learn how to and learn how to hack it, not necessarily plagiarize it. You don't want to do that, but learn how to hack it for your own purposes. So the reality is, like I said, you don't have to be creative when you use the ninja tactic of competitor analysis. And guys, we're going to tie all of this into soap opera sequences, but I just want you to know that you can find soap opera sequences that work for other people. And if you're like, dude, you know what? That's a good structure that I can use for myself. You can learn how to copy hack it and eliminate a lot of the time and a lot of the waste that purely creating something brand new would bring to you. You know, you could literally just steal somebody else's stuff. So there's two types of competitor analysis that you can use. Actually, there's three. That's a typo. There's three different types of research methods and competitor analysis that you can use. One thing to keep in mind is always make sure that you're studying successful competitors. So there's two types of competitors though. You know, there's competitor A, which is non-direct competitors. So these are people that you want to identify that are selling things to a similar audience. So for example, these people may be selling products that are completely unrelated. So you might be a Facebook ads person and this person might be, you know, an agency, not necessarily even an agency, just like a random internet marketer. Okay, but since they're appealing to a similar audience, say for example, you're targeting people that are 25 to 34 and they're internet marketers who are at least generating $2,000 a month, you'll gain a lot of insight from studying the language that your competitors are using in their ads, from studying their sales letters, from signing up for their email newsletters and seeing what type of value they're putting out there. Because if they're successful and they're putting out these messages, obviously they work and obviously they've already done the work of doing the research about your target market. So that eliminates a lot of the work that you would do on the front end because it means you don't have to do as much research to get to know the mindset of your client. You know, you can study their guarantees, their call to actions, and the way that they create loyalty with their fan base. That's going to be an important thing for you to do for your clients. Okay, and then the second type of competitor is somebody who's literally selling the same exact thing. So in my example would be a copywriter who's writing for internet marketers or small businesses. That would be my direct competitor. And I found people who are successful. And I'm asking myself these questions. I'm asking myself, who are they targeting? What type of language do they use? You know, what objections does their copy address? What are the unique benefits that they offer? You know, what is their lead magnet? You know, so how are they building trust with their clients and what is their selling process like? The reason why you want to do this, once again, guys, to tie it into soap opera sequences is that it makes your job a lot easier when you have already somebody else's words to start working with rather than an empty screen that you have to somehow be creative and come up with all these words. When you study your competitors, you could, like I said, hack or steal, kind of like Russell Brunson talks about funnel hacking. You know, you can hack other people's copy and use it for your own purposes. Okay, so another turbo creativity hack is you want to study successful marketing from diverse sources. Okay, so what I mean by that is that you want to study successful marketing from literally everywhere. You almost want to be literally always on study mode. So if you're reading a magazine and you find an advertising that works, or you're watching an infomercial and you heard a claim that you're like, oh shit, that's a good headline. You know, you want to pay attention to those things and study them. So the reason why you want to do this is it's going to give you insight that your industry may be overlooking. Listen, guys, you guys are watching this because you either want to learn how to do this for yourself or for your clients. Let me tell you, if the only type of marketing that you're studying is internet marketing and Facebook ads, your scope of what you can do for your clients is going to be very limited. But if you're studying marketing and you're studying copywriting and you're just studying advertising in general, and you're looking beyond just what internet marketing is doing, and instead you're studying different fields, and you're reading magazines and magazine ads and whatever the case is. You just want to study diverse sources. You want to look beyond what our industry is doing so that you can have the edge over the 50,000 people out there that are claiming they can get results for their clients with Facebook ads. So this is going to give you insight, like I said, that our industry is overlooking. It's going to give you angles, guarantees, unique ideas, inspiration that you won't be able to find anywhere else. So one thing that I just want to suggest to you is that you go to Google search right now, or matter of fact, after this master class, and just search up, advertising for males 25 to 34, if that's your target audience, or advertising for bike shops, or successful advertising for clinics, whatever the case is, or making millions as a Facebook ads advertiser, or making millions selling through having a bike shop. The reason why you want to do this is because it's going to give you ideas, that you may have been overlooking, that you could use for your clients to get them results. What we're talking about here is getting results for our clients, guys. You want to do some of this research that takes you a few minutes. It seems like boring and hard work, but if you're researching these things, you're going to find angles that you may have overlooked. You're going to find blog posts that successful people that have already done what you're doing, that they wrote, and it's going to give you some hacks or some things that you can use for yourself. So we're about to get into the actual mechanics of storytelling, but I just want you to know that you can find all of this information at these two websites right here. I would really write these down if you could, and just go and literally study the shit out of them. So the first website that I'm going to recommend you go to is called swiped.co. You're going to find successful advertising on this website. This website only puts successful advertising on their website for people like us to study. So you're going to find winning ads, Facebook ads, email sequences. Literally, I've hacked a bunch of copy from this website in and of itself, and you're going to find a bunch of diverse sources. The other one is swipefile.com. No matter what niche or industry you can imagine, they have successful advertising for that industry in this website. So these two websites right here you want to go to. And then another little hack that I have is, you want to study mail order advertising. So if you ever get any advertising that's sent to you to your mailbox and you pick it up, instead of throwing it away, read it. The mail order advertising is very expensive to send out. So that means that the ones that are actually making it to your mailbox are the ones that work. Nobody's going to waste thousands upon thousands of dollars sending shit to your mailbox if it doesn't work. So if you ever get any advertising or any letters that advertisers send you to your mailbox, to your home, make sure you open it up and read it. The headlines are going to be super crispy, and you want to kind of copy hack these things. So let's jump into the next slide here. Like I said, the stuff that I'm talking about here should kind of light a fire under your ass like never before, because this makes your job super easy. Okay, so copy hacking. If you're familiar with Russell Brunson, you're familiar with the fact that he always talks about funnel hacking. You find a successful funnel and you build it as your own. With copy hacking, it makes your job just as easy as a copywriter. You want to find successful advertising and then put your stuff, your business's stuff, or your client's stuff inside that copy, and it'll work. It'll work for your client. Okay, so this takes all the guesswork out of your job as a copywriter. This is going to make your job extremely easy. So now that you know all these good and juicy insider copywriting secrets, literally stuff that has secretly been making me, Jeff and a bunch of other people secretly rich over the last year and a half, let's talk about actually putting the pieces of your copywriting puzzle together. So let me go here. Lagging a little bit. So first up, we're going to talk about headlines. Now, obviously in email writing, the headline is a subject line. So it's just pretty much the same thing. The headline or the subject line is the most important part to an email, because it determines whether somebody says, well, that looks like shitty spam, or, hey, dude, I want to read that. So let's talk about that a little bit. And matter of fact, before we do really quick, I do just want to brush over, the fact that when you're sitting down to write copy for clients, you're looking at an empty screen, or you're looking at an empty piece of paper, and you're like, shit, how the hell am I going to create something that's going to sell for my clients? It's kind of like a scary task. You're a little bit intimidated. It's kind of like, what the hell am I going to do here? The important thing is that, you just get words on paper. The words that you get out on paper at first don't have to be perfect. Okay, you just have to get words on paper. That's why I suggested the whole copy hacking thing. Because if you find other people's words that work, you can put those words on your paper and then switch them up. And that way, psychologically, you're like, oh shit, I've already started this process. Let's just finish it up. Psychologically, these type of things kind of help you make your job easier by just putting words on paper and just going through the motions. You don't have to be creative or smart or whatever. You just have to find something that worked and implement it for your businesses. Eugene Schwartz said any copywriter who doesn't fail isn't worth his weight in salt. All the good ones fail. So I think Jeff touched on this a little bit. You don't have to be the best. You just have to be willing to do this simple work and just get some word on paper. You don't have to be some genius, some perfect motherfucker. You just have to, go through the motions and do what works. Okay, usually your first draft is always going to suck. Whenever I write stuff, I never, what my clients see is not what I first wrote. What I usually write at first sounds like, some freaking 4 or 5-year-olds who can barely talk wrote it. I just get the best ideas out of my brain, however they come out. And then through the next couple drafts, I polish them up. So you just want to make sure that you get words on paper and not overthink it and try and be a perfectionist. So now we're going to dig into the, writing the actual headlines and stuff like that. And this is how you want to think about copywriting. Okay, so when the purpose of the headline is right here, you want to get them sucked in. The perfect of the idea behind a subject line is that you want to get people sucked into your copy. You want them to say, dude, that sounds interesting. You want to speak of a particular, sorry about that, guys. So, so the question is, what is the purpose of the headline and the next sentence and the next sentence and the next sentence and so on and so forth? You want to envision it like a slide. The headline is going to get people to sit down right here. The headline is going to get people to sit down, because otherwise, if they don't sit down at the tip of your slide, at the edge of your slide, they're never going to go all the way down to the last section where you get them to take an action. So the headline is where you position what you wrote in a way where people are like, hey, that's interesting. Let me at least check it out. It doesn't commit them to anything other than reading your piece. So the question is, how do we create good headlines? What does it mean to write a good headline or a good subject line? And so the most successful headlines or subject lines ever written have some things in common. They don't reveal too much. So they don't just, they don't just give the solution right away in the headline. Because if somebody reads, something and they're like, okay, that's the answer to it, they're not going to continue, you've satisfied their curiosity. They're not going to keep reading anymore. So it kind of keeps an open loop of curiosity that makes them say, hey, I want to know I want to know the answer to that. So it also makes a chief benefit very clear. It lets the reader know how, what he stands to gain by choosing to read what it is that you've written. So one thing that you want to keep in mind is that when you write a headline or a subject line, it's pretty much almost like a mini sales letter in and of itself, selling what you've written. So you want people to commit to saying, okay, this is what I'm going to gain by reading this. A clear outcome of what the reader will experience is what you want to put in some of your headlines. Another example of what makes a good headline, sometimes they come off as breaking news, or something, they speak of little known secrets, or they broadcast a new discovery that will make your life easier, faster, and better. The other thing is that they open up with a question. Not all of them do, but you've seen it. Have you seen this? Did you see this? Some of those are examples of headlines or subject lines that work in emails because it opens a loop. One of the easiest things you could do is come up with a question that people actually want an answer to, and then they'll open up your email and it'll get it read. So the idea is that you want to grab attention in the best, most legitimate way. In a way that motivates your target market to start reading in order to solve their problem, to discover a benefit, or to have a solution. You know, you want to stay away from deceit or trickery or trying to be cute or whatever the case is, because it's going to make you lose trust with your clients. So let me give you some examples of powerful headlines or powerful subject lines, because honestly, all of these things could be used in the same exact way. So this right here. Have you ever wondered what you would look like with $1 million smile? That's an idea. I mean, that right there is portraying to the reader a chief benefit or an outcome that they can experience by reading the rest of what it is that the copywriter here wrote. You know, so have you ever wondered what you would look like with $1 million smile? People that read that are interested in that type of idea, that are in that target market, you know, they're like, oh shit, yes, I have wondered what it would look like to, you know, what it would look like to have a better smile. So now they know that what perhaps they're going to learn by reading the copy is how to have $1 million smile. And that hooks them into your copy. Now it's your job as a copywriter to get them reading the next parts. So another example of a good headline is, need some fast cash? Try this. The amazing money-making secret of a desperate nerd from Ohio. That's interesting. It piques their curiosity. They're like, oh shit, you know, a desperate nerd, whatever the case is, maybe they can relate to that. But it's letting them know, regardless, that they're going to learn how to make some money, you know, in a way that's not normal, you know, and that piques a lot of people's curiosity. Another idea of a potential headline or subject line or something that can be used for one of those things is, discover how to use the secret weapon of the big banks and fat cats in Washington to put wealth in your pocket. So people that read that, that speaks of a clear outcome. They know what it is that they're going to experience by reading the rest of that copy. That's the secret to getting people to reading your emails and to reading your, you know, your sales letters or your Facebook posts or whatever the case is. You want to make sure that in your headline, the first thing that people read and experience, that you're speaking of an outcome or of a benefit. You know, you want them to say, I'm going to gain this potentially by reading what it is that this person wrote. Okay. So now that you know how to do that, now that you know how to open up your copy and actually get it read and actually get it, make somebody commit to saying, I want to give this a shot, we're going to talk about my storytelling method. You know, a storytelling method that makes storytelling as easy as ABC 1, 2, 3. So the idea here is that stories target the emotional part of the brain, you know, and as we have learned, emotions are what compels people to take action. If you don't target somebody's emotions and you don't make them feel emotionally connected with you, you're never going to inspire them to take actions. Facts simply do not have the same effect on the brain. The part of the brain that processes facts is like 10 times smaller than the part of the brain that processes emotion. So if you want to get somebody to do what you want them to do, you know, make them give you money for a particular problem that you're helping solve, then you want to target the emotional part of your brain. You know, so we'll end it there with the science lesson because we don't got enough time to touch up on all that. But, you know, here's how to tell a good story the easy way with my 3-piece knockout storytelling method. Okay, so we're going to go over these more in depth, and I'm going to show you actual real live examples that I used in emails and in sales letters. But the first part of the storytelling method is you're obviously going to have your beginning. I call this the nightmare. You know, you're going to have your middle, and this is called the grueling journey. What you did to get from point A to point Z. What you did to get from your nightmare to, you know, part 3, which is your epic liberation. So all of these kind of feed into each other in a way that's really cool, and we're going to check that out right now. So let me show you a good example of step 1, the nightmare. So this is how I started off my, you know, my journey and my nightmare story. So I said, I remember like it was just yesterday. Just 2 years ago, I found myself in a position most 20-something-year-olds find themselves in. I was lonely, looking around at the world, scared as a rat, feeling unprepared, trying to hold on by a hangnail while plugging away 17-hour days, trying to spit out a profit online, yet still completely broke. So as you can see right here, you know, this is my nightmare story. This is what I did that my target audience relates with because they've done the same things. And I know this from doing my research. You know, I did blogging, sales and commissions jobs, every internet course that I could have got my hands on. I got my hands on it. You know, I even flipped stuff on eBay and Craigslist to get my hands on some money. And I really did do that. I was trying everything, you know, side hustles that never quite panned out. The idea here is that I want you guys to understand that this is my nightmare story. This is how you open up a story and get people just like you to connect with you. This is how you get people just like your target market to connect with you. Does that make sense? So you want to tell your story in a way that your reader will say, hey, this dude's a hustler, this dude's a grinder. I'm kind of similar in a way. Whatever the case is, you just want your audience to connect with you in a deep way through telling your nightmare story. The next part, which is the middle part, is you want to tell your grueling journey. What it is that you did that took you out of that nightmare and brought you closer to where it is that you want it to be. So everything changed for me. For example, this is just part of my nightmare story that I told here, is everything changed for me when my girlfriend gave me a final notice, just like my landlord did. I'll never forget her red, puffy-eyed, tear-beaten face. And the whole thing is that this is part of the grueling journey. This is something that I went through that made, that was part of what made the journey difficult for me, but also that gave me an aha moment. So in your email sequences, you want to find those things. You want to find, the tough things that you did that took you to where you want to be, or the difficult things that your client had to endure that took them from where they were to where they want to be. This is the type of stuff that gets people to emotionally connect with you. The reason why this is because one of the only things that we all have in common in life is that we all suffer. We all go through shit, and shit hits the fan for all of us. So when you share this story of a particular suffering that you went through in life, and then and obviously do it in a way that shares how you got out of that, it makes people connect with you. Because all of us, like I said, all of us have a shared suffering in life where we all go through shit that we don't want to go through, but it's just the way that life works. So when you share this story, it gets people to trust you and to connect with you. And that's one of the most important things that you can have when you're writing copy. So let's move in. And then step 3 is the epic liberation. You don't just want to tell people how your life sucked and how, whatever you want to tell them how your life sucked, but how you got out of it and what your life looks like now. So with this new direction and clear focus, this is my example. I was able to unclutter my mind, unlock my hidden copywriting abilities, unleash my creativity, and started writing every single day, almost like nothing. It took me 2 years of struggling, failing, and being broke to finally get it. But once I did, it only took me 11 days to make $11,438. And actually, this was in October of last year. So as a result of my new quick kill secret weapon I discovered, this ultimately really started to change everything around me. I gained respect, influence, freedom, and made more money than ever before. Fast forward to today, and here's what my life looks like now. I went from being able to working 17-hour days to a smooth sailing 3-day work week. In those 3 days, I see more clients than most agency people see in 3 months. So the whole idea here is this is an example from one of my emails from one of my sales letters also that I use for my personal story. This is the epic liberation. A lot of my target market wants to experience these things. They want this. They want to go from, pulling their hair out in front of their laptop, trying to freaking get a client and make some money, to being able to be smooth sailing and have clients come to them. And this is how I was, this is real shit. This is what happened with me. And the reason why you want to share this is because it gets people connected with you. It gets people to say, wow, this dude's a champion. People like to root for people who are winners, for people who are hard workers. And all of this stuff is very psychological, but that's how you tell a story that actually freaking works. I'm going to show you how to put that into an email in just a second. But just to recap, you want to take your readers through the nightmare that you experienced before discovering your solution. Then you want to share with them the grueling journey that you went through that led you to discovering your solution. You want to share with them the middle part. And finally, the epic liberation that you experienced once you found what you were looking for. As in the examples that I showed you. As you can see, you want to pretty much get your target market. You want to pretty much get your target market to see that you went through what they're going through currently, an example, growing pains, and that you can get them out of the hell that they're in right now. Excuse me here. So, sorry guys, my internet is acting up. So that's how you connect with an audience on a deeply emotional level. You want to tell them your story in a perfectly crafted way, in a way that takes them from point A to point Z in your story. And that's how you're able to introduce the offer, because people at the end, the way that you got to your epic liberation, the way that you went from your nightmare to your epic liberation is through your product. So now people are like, well, I want to experience that. Let me buy that. And as you would have noticed also, I used exciting language, words such as finally, utter, amazement, secrets, and more. These are called power words because they make your copy more emotional. Instead of saying good, you say something like amazing. That word has more emotions, and that helps people connect with you on a more deeper level because it helps paint a vivid picture in their minds. So now that you've seen examples of live storytelling, the question becomes, Danny, how do I put these elements together in a perfect soap sequence? Like, how do I actually put those things together in a way that freaking works in emails? So I'm actually going to go up and show you the examples that we did with Jeff and his client. So I believe we were here.
One more down.
One more down. Okay, boom. So the first idea here, guys, is that, the first email is actually stupid simple. Anybody could pretty much write something like this. You're not necessarily telling a story. This is almost kind of like just pre-framing people for what's coming up ahead. Where the storytelling comes into play is in the second email. This is where you tell the nightmare. It was a little over 2 years ago that I decided, wait, hold up. This is email number 1. Sorry. So email number 2, I sat in the middle of a large university classroom more than 6,000 miles away from home. My anxiety felt like it was going to strangle me to death. There was a beaming sense of regret eating away at my insides. I wanted to scream, to cry even. So that's opening up. That's a nightmare. Nobody wants to go through that. Those are the type of things that that will get your clients on your side because they're understanding that you're a normal human being just like them that goes through shit. So, you want to open up your email at a high drama pace. This opens up the email in a way that people are like, well, I want to know why the heck this guy was sitting, in a classroom 6,000 miles away from home and wanted to cry, to scream. So the idea here is that you're going to, in email number 2, you're going to talk about, the nightmare that your client went through as it ties into the offer or their business. So, sitting in that classroom, I realized that the world was a much bigger place. I was competing with the entire world in this business arena, not just a few locals back in my home country. So in email number 2, you want to tell their nightmare, and I believe Jeff touched on that a little bit. You want to share that grueling journey that you went through. In email number 3, you want to kind of just dig in a little bit more. And for example, I was sitting, you want to give now the actual journey rather than the nightmare that they went through. So I was sitting in that classroom, running the numbers and brainstorming on the ideas on how I could create a bicycle shop that catered to the exact needs of the Miami community. So the idea here is that now you want to take your readers through the journey that your client went through from their nightmare to deciding to, start their business, or from, the journey that they went through that took them from their nightmare to their epic liberation. So right here, that's what we did. We talked about how he sat down and ran the numbers and realized that Miami was the perfect place to start a bike shop. And then in example number 4, and then in number 4, what it is that you do. As a matter of fact, let me just take it back, guys, because in email writing, it's a little bit different. We touched on the epic liberation here. He started his bike shop and built great relationships with other people. And then you want to take the epic liberation a little bit further and just let people know that, you're a successful business owner, and then give them what it is that they need. So with the epic liberation, he had no connections. All I had was a dream in a shop. I just knew that I wanted to be a friend in this tight-knit crowd of adventure seekers. So what he did was what we did in this email is we let people know that he's at his epic liberation. Now he's super connected within the cycling community, and he's living the life of his dreams, serving a crowd of people that he truly wants to be serving. So that's how the emails work. You take people through, the soap opera emails, you take people through a nightmare, and you lead them all the way to the epic liberation, because that's going to get them to connect with you and to say, hey, this dude actually has my best interests in mind. Let's go ahead and do what we got to do. So, as far as emails are concerned, I believe that's pretty much the gist of it. That's what Jeff and I have been able to do to reproduce results across the board for different clients.
So kind of in summary today, we went over a bunch of different ideas. But as a whole, your few takeaways are as follows. The first is that somebody, Jeff, who's consistently getting the worst Facebook ads results, has clients paying him way too much money. And that's a result of clients genuinely feeling like they're getting the word out about their business and those customer opportunities or leads coming in and spending money. The difference between the people who are having this kind of experience with their agency and are not is actually that automatic email-based storytelling soap opera sequence. And I went over a great example of how we've used our bike shop email sequence tied in with customer research just like this to create and craft a soap opera sequence that pleases both masters, both that client and the customer opportunity. And you'll see how we incorporated that tribal language while following that epic journey, that nightmare, that realization, story, and arc. That makes a lot of sense and easy to read. Using that philosophy and that soap opera sequence and storytelling process, I've had clients tell me their campaigns have bombed, but we still want to keep moving forward. I've had clients more than 5 times their spend with me because they got that immediate bang for the buck. And I've had clients say, Jeff, this is working so well, I want to make you the official franchise person for Facebook ads. My Facebook ads are no different than anybody else's, but my soap opera sequences are literally my expert secret that makes my results stand out more than everybody else. So we've gone over a lot of information down to the point of how Danny Velez now crafts soap opera sequence emails, sales letters, and does his copywriting, and how he realized that he can charge not $35 or $350, but $13,000 for an email sequence because it follows this structure and gets results that his clients and customers want. Today, we showed you how to get your clients paying you more and getting your customers coming to the door by matching the soap opera to the tribal language. We showed you the easy to follow 3-step storytelling script using the 3-step knockout storytelling method, including those questions. I even showed you the question series that gets your client telling an interesting story and a template that makes it all fit into a perfect soap opera sequence. And Danny Velez even showed us the inside look into the flow and strategy behind ultra successful soap opera sequences so you can hack it and get the results for yourself or your clients. Today, for the people on this live, I am giving you some extra bonuses for being here. I'm giving you my bike shop soap opera sequence. I'm giving you my orthopedist soap opera sequence, and I'm giving you my car shop soap opera sequence. So you can study it, apply it, and use it and funnel hack it for yourself and your other clients. I do want to open this up to Q&A, and now is the time. If you've got a question, comment, concern, thought, idea, drop it into the chat, and we're going to go over it right now.
Now, I do just want to say I'm going to be giving some bonuses also. I'm going to give you a 5-step, a 5-part email sequence template that you can use for after the soap opera sequence, which makes your job a lot easier because after the soap opera sequence, you pretty much want to, add value and build a relationship in a way that gets people to buy your freaking thing.
Yep.
And then I'm also going to be giving you a questionnaire, PDF questionnaire that you can use as a checklist to make sure you're asking your clients the right type of questions. It has over 21 different questions you can ask.
Perfect. Prada says, Danny, I recently pitched a potential client about the soap opera sequence, and the owner said that he did not want to be the attractive character, as he wanted to market the business so that he could sell it in the future. Can you do this sequence without having the owner as part of the soap opera sequence? That's the question. And then there's a follow-up, but we'll let you answer that one. So
yeah. So to answer the question, I would you can't necessarily do the soap opera sequence without having the owner involved. What I would do is maybe just you gotta try and help your client understand the importance of the soap opera sequence, and just help them understand that the soap opera sequence, if he's planning to sell the company or whatever in the future, it could be changed. But for the time being, in order for it to work, people have to be able to trust him and get to know him on the internet, maybe face to face or with referrals. It doesn't have to be that way, but with a cold audience that doesn't know him already, they need to get to know him in order to trust him and feel comfortable giving him money. So I would say just help your client understand that, that the soap opera sequence can always be changed, but people on the internet, they need to be able to trust you. So that's why we need to go through the lengths of creating a soap opera sequence.
And what I would do is I would shift the conversation and say, all right, Mr. Client, Mr. Customer, so you want to sell your business, right? That sounds great. What's the best way to sell your business? By proving you have consistent sales, right? So let's get to that point. And then if it turns out down the line, we have to change a soap opera sequence, bring in an assistant manager that's really the new owner, we can make that transition pretty effectively. And hundreds of thousands of other businesses are sold every single year at a massive premium because of the results that a soap opera sequence brings up. That's really his question, and that's right way to drive it into your favor. Prada has a follow-up question, which is, what do you do after the 5 email sequence? Do you send extra emails like a Seinfeld series that Russell Brunson talks about, things like that?
Yeah, so after the email, after the original soap opera sequence, like I said, I'm going to give you a template to use for after that. It gives you 5 extra emails to use for after the soap opera sequence. But one thing that you want to do is you just want to pretty much put them into your regular newsletter. In your newsletter, you want to add value. You want to give away little freebies or things that you thought might be helpful. Whatever it is that you do in your normal newsletter, but you just want to pretty much almost write like little mini blog posts or lead people to your to your website, and constantly add value and reassure them why it is that they're on your email sequence or your email newsletter in the first place, which is to learn or to grow in the particular area that you're an expert in. So you just want to continue reigniting that flame and keep you on the front of their mind, by adding value and doing little blog posts as emails.
So does that happen like every day, every 3 days, or like as they come out? Is there a frequency for that type of setup?
Yeah, so it just depends who you're asking. Russell Brunson says, do one every single day. Some people only do, there's some famous copywriters called Gary Venga. He's like a multi-$10 million plus copywriter. He does one a week, so it just depends. For myself, I try not to do it more than every other day, because I feel like sometimes that really overwhelms certain people, especially if you're dealing with like a super professional group of people who actually does check their emails a lot. They get annoyed if you bombard them with emails. But during your soap opera sequence, you do want to send them consecutively every single day. After that, you want to do it like every other day, or even once a week would work if your emails are very valuable. One thing you want to keep in mind is that if you don't have anything to say, don't freaking just write an email just for the sake of writing an email. You want to have something truly valuable to say. So that's one thing I would say.
So I'm on 2 email sequences that I know I should hate, but I never can. I can never unsubscribe from them. One of them is Ryan Levasque's soap opera sequence newsletter. He sends me an email every other day, and they're always amazing. And I know I should delete them, but I never do, because the headline and the first paragraph are so great, and that it's like, it's fine, no big deal. And the second is Billie Jean's emails. For some reason, like, I always get them. I never delete them. And I read the first paragraph. Like, he just sent one about like, fix my ads about a jewelry company. And I'm like, I know I should delete and I know I should unsubscribe, but I never do. And so the best answer, Anna, is you should be sticking with once a day, every day for 5 days. Once that is done, you can then transition to every other day if you have something valuable to say, and once a week if you have something less frequently but still valuable to say. And there's a way in ActiveCampaign to set this up. You can effectively like pause people until they hit the end. Then you put another email, everybody moves down a slot. And from that point moving forward, everyone will get the emails correctly. So you don't have to wait until you have like a year's worth of emails to launch your list. You can add on as you expect using some ActiveCampaign hacks. We have another question from Cliff that says, if the owner does not want to be in the story, can we then use his clients' testimonials? Is there a way to work around that? Is there a way to incorporate clients and testimonials into that story?
Dude, you know what? That's an incredible question. And that's you can do that. You can use if the client, then the difficult part about that, which is the reason why I didn't suggest it as a strategy, is because then you have to, fish through their client list, find the right ones, and then get permission from the clients to interview the actual client themselves. So you would reverse this process. Instead of interviewing your client, you would be interviewing their client. Because it's possible to do it, and I have done it for different types of clients where the soap opera sequence is the actual story of the transformation that their clients have experienced with their own products. So that actually works, and if you can do it, sometimes it could work even better than this other soap opera sequence. It's just a little bit more difficult, and there's a little bit more red tape involved because there's some FTC guidelines of what you can and cannot do with testimonials. So you just want to be very careful with that.
So on that note, in this storytelling session, I'm using my client's story about a transformation that he got one of his clients to go through. So there are ways to incorporate it. It's a little bit more red tape. And the reason why we don't go over that idea very well in this is because this is short. It has to be succinct and you have to get some easy wins. And it's very easy for that. How do you get like your client's client into it? It gets very hairy. So there are ways to do it. We just like try not to go into it because it gets so hairy. Somebody says, Prada says, what's your stance on selling or sending relevant promos and offers on the newsletter? Is there a ratio of promo to sending versus value? How does that work out pretty well?
Yeah, so just to give you an example from somebody that we're probably all familiar with, Dan Kennedy, for example. I'm subscribed to his emails and I read every single one of them. If you're not, I think that you should be because I learn a lot from his emails. Dan Kennedy sends an email every single day and there's always an offer involved. So the idea here is that if you have something to say and you have something that people want, they're not going to mind if you send them an offer. They want to buy your stuff. Sometimes they're just waiting for the right time. Sometimes they're just busy and they read your email and they're waiting for the next one or they forgot, whatever the case is. But an idea to keep in mind here is that the right ratio is making sure that you have actually something valuable to say. If you don't have anything valuable to say, that's when you start pissing people off and they start realizing that the only reason you're hitting them up is to get money from them. But if you actually have something valuable to say, nobody will care that there's 7 links all leading to a sales letter in just your one simple 500-word email. You know, yeah.
So what's interesting about like the phrasing Prada uses promos and offers in the newsletter, don't assume that a promo and offer is simply a 30%. That is not what we're talking about, saying buy now 30%, like a flyer in your email. Do not do that. You can and you should correctly integrate a promo or an offer into a valuable, worth read newsletter. That's what Dan Kennedy does, Billie Jean, Ryan Levesque, everybody they just mentioned. Every single email they do has a relevant offer and a promo in their newsletter, but what they're not doing is taking a flyer and slapping it in your email. I think that's what you may be hinting at. More importantly, that's what your client may be hinting
at. Yep. And the other thing to keep in mind is this, guys. You know, you don't just want to slap people with like you want to make sure that you have a marketing infrastructure set up where your emails should be targeting people for the most part, especially when you're sending out your basic promos or whatever. You want to have a value ladder, to make sure that people are to increase the frequency of people saying yes to your offer. So you want to make sure that you're offering something that's easy for people to say yes to so that you can work them up your ladder.
Very cool. We got 3 more, and then we're going to have to bring this to a close. Steve says, why just only text? Why not pics or video? Doesn't that improve the click-through? I'm going to give my answer, and then Denny can give yours. What I've learned, Steve, is that when it's text only, it's very easy to engage a conversation with that client. When it's pics or video, all of a sudden it's not interactive. All of a sudden it doesn't quite work. And every single time I try to challenge that with a, what about blank, blank, and blank? It's reinforced by Billie Jean, Dan Kennedy, and Ryan Levesque. What they have is literally text, and then they incorporate a picture or video that confirms that text. And so I want to make sure that what you're doing with your first batch of soap opera sequences is nailing that text. Very often when we're new, we rely on that video or that picture as like a crutch. That will not get you your intended result. You have to nail the written word first. Once you're doing that, then it works. I do want to say, by the way, my soap opera sequence for my bike shop sent 5 real-life people with no photos. My car wash sequence got this guy saying, Jeff, I want to pay you 10 grand per location, no photos. My orthopedist, literally text only, and then the whole executive team was like, I think this is working. So do not end up using the pics and the video as a crutch. Nail the text first, and then you can incorporate later. So I don't know if you have a different thought, but that's kind of my rant.
No, yeah, especially when you're a beginner, it could be a little bit tougher if you're not dealing with other elements such as pictures and stuff like that. But you want that difficulty because that's what's going to make you better. That's what's going to speed up your process. You have to be able to put your message out there in a way that people are going to be better. And like Jeff was saying, that people are going to read it and respond to it. And like Jeff was saying, the pictures and stuff like that can sometimes be a crutch, or you rely on it too much and then you slack out on your message. You don't want to do that. So you want to make sure that, you're getting your message across there in a way where when people are reading it, it actually freaking makes sense.
Correct. So Robert says, how to write a killer case study. I want to say, Robert, my case studies are very much like, here's 10 pages. here's a Facebook ad, the email sequence, do you want me to run this for you? But I don't think that's the case study Robert's asking about. Robert, maybe in more detail, or maybe Dan, you have an idea how to answer this question. How should I write a killer case study?
Yeah, so, there's a lot of variables in this question as far as what did Robert actually really mean. But I think that one of the best things to keep in mind is actually stupid simple. The first thing I'm going to say is that you want to have super relevant testimonials. There's nothing more, super relevant transformation stories of people that actually were going through some shit, found a solution, and then made it happen for themselves. The case studies that I've written for my clients and all that, we always use testimonials. One case study that I use had more than 50 testimonials. You can never overdo it with proof. Proof is one of the main things that sells people, because psychologically, if somebody else is doing something and is being successful with it, it lets us know, hey, maybe I can do this too. So with case studies, I would say the number one way to write the best type of case study is to gather the testimonials from your clients and make sure that you put them in there, because that's what's gonna, when people read that, that's how they're gonna be able to say, okay, if somebody else has done it, maybe I could try this too.
And Robert, if you want us to go into more detail, just ask a follow-up in the Facebook Messenger chat, and then we'll take care of you then.
Yep.
Sarah's last question, I think this is the last one. Sarah says, what are some of the best tips to increase conversions on a sales page? I want to say, Sarah, I have no experience with a sales page. I've only done lead generation pages, name, number, and email. And what I've learned is the uglier, the better. That's just how my clients and audience ends up working. And the only variables is probably like 2 lines of text, which is pulled from the customer research. That's how I keep it super simple. But I think, Dan, you've got a different philosophy or approach on the right ways to increase conversions on a sales page, I think, right?
Yeah. So there's honestly there's no lie. There's over 100 things that you can do to increase conversion on a sales page, because there's about 100 or more things that could be wrong or right with it. But the basics that I'm going to tell you is most times it's in the headline. Most people only, if you had like a heat seeker, one of them heat seeker things that you can plug into your ClickFunnels or whatever and check where people are spending the most time at, most people are spending some time on the headline and then they bounce. If your headline isn't actually speaking of an outcome that they want to experience, if the headline isn't letting them know, hey, you're about to read this, this piece of text because it's going to help you achieve this benefit, or because you're going to learn how to unlock this hidden benefit or this thing that you desire, if your headline isn't speaking of those things, then people are just going to bounce. So that's the number one way to increase actual conversion, is in the headline. I mean, in your sales letter, is by getting people to commit to reading it by having a good headline. Okay. Another way to increase conversions instantly, once your headline is good, though, you want to make sure your headline is good. Another way to increase it is once they get all the way to the bottom, Jeff does a great job talking about this, is you want to make sure that you're offering some sort of risk reversal. If some sort of guarantee. If people feel like even after they've read your whole headline and they've read all your copywriting and your sales letter, they get all the way to the bottom and they find out they have to make an investment, that makes them a little bit afraid. Some people are dealing with limited resources, a limited budget, or they just plain don't believe in themselves and feel like they're going to waste money. If you have a guarantee at the end, that makes it way easier for people to say yes to your offer, because they feel like, hey, I got 14 days, I got 30 days, I can try this out, give myself an honest shot, and if it doesn't work, then I just get my money back. So those are 2 ways, 2 stupid, simple ways, and actually very effective ways and proven ways to increase conversion in your sales letter, is you want to make sure that your headline is speaking of an outcome that your reader will experience by reading your text. And then once they get all the way to the bottom, you want to let them know, hey, I've got you covered and I got your best intentions in mind. Here's my risk reversal, my guarantee, my no risk to you guarantee, 30 days, 90 days, whatever the case is. But that's 2 solid ways to increase conversions very easily.
Very cool. We're bringing this sucker to an end. I want to say it was a great hour plus. We went over a lot of information ranging from soap opera sequences at work, how to do storytelling sessions, how to craft confidently your copywriting sequences. So here's what's next, ladies and gents. You're going to get a replay with these slides later today. I'm going to do some trimming like always. You're going to get a replay with your faces at the top, the whole thing, and the slides later today. You'll have your white label soap opera sequences later this week, including the car wash, including the orthopedist, and the bike shop. Of course, I'm going to pull out the client info, but you can drop it in. It's worked for my clients. And since you understand why I chose some words, you can replicate the results for your own success. I do want to say Danny Velez's logic group specifically about soap opera sequences and storytelling. You can click that link or copy and paste it and you'll get access to his group. You'll also get your bonuses and freebies from Danny Velez later this week. And I do want to say, if you honestly feel like this has helped you accomplish your goals and was well worth the price of your ticket, post in the Agency Scaling Secrets public group. That's the Ask Fam, right? The one with the butt. And let everyone know how valuable this live event was to leveling up your agency. And like I mentioned before, great, there's a typo, but we'll work through it, right? But every single person here is now in a very unique position because you understand soap opera sequences. You understand how doing a soap opera sequence gets your client loving you and paying you more money and gets those customers buying time and time again. And Danny Velez shared the quick and easy, fast way of writing copy that gets results and a quick summary of his journey from going to $35 copy jobs to $13,000 emails. If all you got was that, it would be worth it, but we gave you so much instead. So ladies and gents, that's it. Kind of in summary, thank you much for everybody joining Danny Velez. I think this was a great masterclass. I appreciate your time. Everybody, have a great day, and we'll see you on the next time.
Thank you, guys. Take care.